these guys. These guys are crazy. Let me show y'all something. I'm going to also show you on a football premise why this thing right here is ridiculous. They out here doing 7-on-7. 7-on-7. Also look great out here, 7-on-7. 7-on-7. Balling. Mixtape in stores. You know what it is? Fire. Got all kind of people on that mixtape, man. On all platforms. Let me get to this. I'm going to show you something. Todd Monken said something, and a lot of people didn't catch it. I want to highlight this, too. Let me highlight it. I'm going to highlight this. He's showing the levels to this. Kevin Stefanski never said this. Kevin Stefanski wasn't highlighting this. Shout out to Cameron Justice. Shout out to Cam. Daniel Oefusi. Shout out to them. I mess with their work. I asked the Browns, Todd Monken, about the defensive plays made today. A couple of interceptions and forced fumbles. Yeah, we threw interceptions on 7-on-7, for God's sakes. I mean, who does that? There's no pass rush. I mean, it's embarrassing. Look at that man's face. Look at that man's face. Coach Rhea says, I agree. 7-on-7 should absolutely favor the offense. There is no real pass rush. There are no quarterbacks. The quarterbacks are clean. Defenders at every level of football are limited with what they can do with their hands. Coaches expect offense to dominate those settings. What I'm going to do is mess the whole industry up right here. What I'm going to do is really make it difficult. If you want, you can come on and sit down with your boy G. Bush. Come on down. And I'll tell you, and we'll show you. I'm going to play you a couple clips, and I'm going to show you why the whole premise of talk about who's ahead of who right now is utterly ridiculous. The reason why Todd Monken is so mad about interceptions on 7-on-7 is because it's football with training wheels on it. As a matter of fact, defensive linemen don't respect it. Offensive linemen don't respect it. No real person that knows football really respects 7-on-7 like that. Let's just keep it a buck. If you ball in 7-on-7 and some individual throws, great. I would rather you look good in the easy period than look nasty in the easy period. But let me just debunk and give you the contextual ideas behind what 7-on-7 is and how it applies to 11-on-11 football. Because the things that you forget, and it's the same reason why everybody, Myles Garrett isn't there. Myles Garrett don't need to be there. All you need Myles Garrett to show up. If Myles Garrett was there at 7-on-7, you couldn't get the ball off. They had this for us as defensive linemen. We don't respect 7-on-7 because when you do 7-on-7, you just saying, "Oh, we'll just take those guys out and we'll play with these dudes out." No. We affect the game a whole lot, my good sir. We affect the game and on a different level. You think Tom Brady is going to be back there doing what he wants by himself? No, we got something to say about that. It's called I'm in your face. 1, 2, 3. It's called your guy can't block me. 1, 2, 3. It's called we just blitzed you. You know what? It's called we disguised and rolled our coverage to the guy that we stop acting like this is the end all be all. And the problem is people don't even know this. People don't be knowing this. They don't be knowing it. But we're going to expose that today. Let's talk a little bit. I want to talk. I'm going to tell you why, as we watch this. 7-on-7 is nasty work. Does it have its purposes? Yes. But it also puts you in a situation where, thank you, was Denzel Ward at OTAs? It's different when Denzel Ward on people. Just think it is. But let me just tell you this. Here's why when you talk about 7-on-7 and what they are doing in OTAs, and you talk about who's ahead, here's why it don't make no sense. Let's take a look at that. This link is in the description. Make sure you check this guy's channel out. It's a link in the description, and the whole video is really informative. A lot of it he's talking about college and high school, but I thought that I took this specific part because it really does a lot to explain what's going on with 7-on-7. So when you see all these dudes throwing the ball, and so-and-so was balling and ahead, he had the best throws. Put this into some context. I'm just saying.
7-on-7 is ruining. Today we're going to be talking about if 7-on-7 is ruining football and why I feel 7-on-7 is one of the worst things that athletes can do in the offseason in some cases. So first thing I want to talk about with 7-on-7, you guys, is going to be the coaching within 7-on-7. Now, I don't think all 7-on-7 coaches are bad. I don't think all 7-on-7 programs are bad, but a lot of times you get a lot of dudes that maybe aren't the most well-versed in football. So like if you're in a situation where you're playing on a 7-on-7 team and the coach who's calling plays is not maybe, an ex-quarterback, an offensive coordinator, a head coach for a high school, and he's just some guy that doesn't have a ton of experience, and the play concepts that you guys are running are unrealistic. They're not isolating defenders. They're like 7-on-7 plays with a million different crossing routes. That's going to be a total waste of your time. Because
see what he said. Now I already know what the people. Well, G. Bush, are you saying Todd Monken is not conducting 7? No. Are you saying the coaching is bad on 7? No. What I'm showing you is when guys are working out, throwing to receivers in the offseason, when they're throwing to receivers in the offseason, he was down there working out. The question is, what routes are you running? Who's coaching this up? Are you running a bunch of drags and slants that put you in a position that the defense can't cover, and you just out here throwing the ball? That ain't gonna do you no good in the game. Or what type of looks are you? Are you just throwing 7-on-7 routes? Does that really do anything for you? I need you to be locked in and dialed in on a lot of different other things rather than seeing the route be successful. And a lot of times people are working with individual quarterbacks, individual guys, just throwing the random dudes, guys from other teams. Why are you throwing with guys from other teams? Guess what, bro? He ain't playing for, unless you getting him to get traded to your team. How does that work? Now you know how he coming out his breaks. You're throwing with him. At the end of the day, that's not what we're looking for. So that's number one. When you're doing these drills, are you doing it under duress? Are you doing it and you're running 7-on-7 with your plays? Are you doing it with intention? Are you doing it with to put you in the worst position so you get the most out of it? Continue on. We just started.
Plays with a million different crossing routes, that's going to be a total waste of your time, because the whole goal of 7-on-7 is to prepare you for 11-on-11. That's why 7-on-7 was created in the first place. It's not even close to what it is nowadays.
Repeat that. 7-on-7 is created to get you ready to play 11-on-11, not the opposite way around. The end goal is 11-on-11, not, hey, 7-on-7, and then that's a different thing. Let's go to 11. No. It's something to aid the end process. Here we go.
Now, another thing I don't like about 7-on-7 is the lack of emphasis on block training and the higher focus on random training. And I'll explain what both of those mean. Now, one thing I will want to say first is that I don't hate 7-on-7 completely. Like, I think 7-on-7 has a lot of positives, and we're going to get into that later on in the video as to why you should play 7-on-7.
This is very important. And I'll stop it here and I'm going to let it play out. First of all, 7-on-7 is not a bad tool. If done correctly and done with intentionality, it helps you. However, if you're not doing it correctly, or if you're putting too much emphasis on the way it looks, you can come out with a bad read. And I think what I'm going for is the media is coming out with a completely bad read because they don't understand what the 7-on-7 concept is and why Todd Monken was laughably upset. Because he knows, Todd Monken understands that 7-on-7 is supposed to look magnificent. You can't grab nobody. You can't push nobody. There is no pass rush. If you can't get it done when there's no timing, you're in trouble when the real bullets start flying. So let's go back and have him break this down, because I think this is very important for you to get. What are you trying to train when you're doing 7-on-7? And it's two different separate categories.
Training and the higher focus on random training. And I'll explain what both of those mean. Now, one thing I will want to say first is that I don't hate 7-on-7 completely. Like, I think 7-on-7 has a lot of positives, and we're going to get into that later on in the video as to why you should play 7-on-7 in certain cases, but most cases for athletes, and this is at least from my experience, because what I do is I train quarterbacks and wide receivers, and quarterbacks and receivers are obviously, like, I guess you'd say the focal point of 7-on-7, right? You need a quarterback, you need receivers to be able to have an offense, then obviously defensive players, etc. Like I mentioned, there's two types of training for athletes. You have block training and then you have random training. So block training is where you're focused on a specific skill. So let's say you're a quarterback and you have a really long, like, throwing motion, right? You need to block train to be able to make that throwing motion shorter. So So you need thousands upon thousands of reps in a row of a good throwing habit or a good throwing motion to break that habit. And that goes for any type of skill athletically. You need to stack reps upon reps upon reps. It can be boring at times, but that's how you get better at specific areas that you lack in your game.
I know it's a little boring for y'all. I know ain't nobody gonna do no teaching. We don't get to it. See, here on the Barbershop, we don't just do, hey, he's a good quarterback or a bad quarterback. We don't do that. We're going to give you and sit there and we're going to tell you and we're going to try to teach you and educate you on why there's a misconception with this and really break it down so you can understand. He's talking about as an athlete. He trains quarterbacks and he actually works with receivers and quarterbacks training. Block training. When you're doing, and everybody has block training, whether you're a defensive lineman, I'll go to myself. Block training. Somebody asks, who is this guy? We'll give you, hold on. I'll give you what we talking about. People be, hold on. We gonna get to it. Let's see. Who is this guy? Let's see. All right. Hold yourself. Let me see. We're gonna get to him. Okay. All right. So, all right, here we go. All right. We try to give people their flowers. There we go. First down training. He trains receivers. He messes with receivers. He does quarterbacks. He does first down training. There you go. Make sure you go check him out. He has almost 500,000 subscribers. So just so you know, we're not just talking about regular people. So he does training and he has training videos. Go check it out. Link in the description. Had to do that.
But I think certain athletes do too much of that and don't focus on their actual skills, so they really don't get any better. And then when 11 on 11 rolls around, they haven't fixed those problems and they're not as efficient. Because guys, you could cheat 7 on 7. 7 on 7, you got 4 seconds to throw the ball, quarterback can't roll out, you could throw these stupid play concepts and dump the ball off on a swing. Like, it's not realistic football in some cases. You can make it realistic, but for the most part, what I've seen, it's not. Now, with random training, like I said, it's a reaction. So you take the ball and it's like, okay, as let's say from a quarterback perspective, and you read a defender, he goes here, okay, I'm going to go and throw over here. But your mechanics are terrible, so you're not building any good habits. Quite frankly, you're stacking bad habit upon bad habit upon bad habit, and all of a sudden that's just going to be the way you throw the ball, and you're going to be too far gone to be able to break that bad habit. And maybe your high school head coach wants to see you, hey, I need to see you fix this, or maybe a college coach, I need you to fix that.
When you talk about it, why this clip is important is it shows you the difference between block work and training a skill block, right? A skill block is just basically anything. I compare it to me, right? This happens in college. You go through block work, right? And block work is, hey, G. Bush, your get off is too slow. Get off is just the way you explode off the line of scrimmage. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to train my eyes and ears and my body and my legs to have explosion off the line of scrimmage to generate thrust to get after a quarterback. Sometimes I used to have crutches in my game. Sometimes I didn't close the distance enough before I started my first move. Closing the distance is basically being like, hey, I need to close the gap between the offensive lineman and myself. So the ability now when I make my move, I can get past you. If I do my move too quick, I'm getting stonewalled at the line of scrimmage, and I'm not going to get to the quarterback or get at the quarterback depth. Those are just things that we work on block work for defensive linemen. Sometimes your skill block is, hey, as a linebacker, sometimes you get washed too easy. Getting washed means if you understand and read and diagnose and get to the play, but once you get to the play, you have a tendency to play with a high pad level, causing you to get washed past the play. So you know what they do? They work on certain things to have you hunkered down and at the same time not over pursue, so you get washed. Couple examples where we're talking about when it comes to defensive players. The reality of the situation is this. Actually, that's very important. It's very important. Because when I'm showing this stuff, a lot of people will just throw different things out there. Oh, who is this guy? He doesn't really know. That's why when I talk about it, I back it up with multiple things. I'll give you what we used to learn in college, and I'll back it up what he said. Now, he says, and you are correct. You are correct. When you talk about the randomness, what you are coaching in 7 on 7 is random progressions. You're coaching randomness. So you go through your progressions. This guy's open, this guy's open, this guy's not open. Guess what? That's random. There's skills that you have that you can count on, and then there's randomness. Think about it. If I'm fast and I could cut and I could see and I work on my concrete things. The concrete things is, can you read a defense? The randomness is, can you throw it to the right person when the defense shows up at another place that you didn't expect? It all goes back to, remember what I talked about. It all goes back. So here you go. We understand the differences, and here's why you can get into trouble with 7-on-7 or reading too much into 7-on-7. Here we go.
What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to talk about a big problem that I have with 7-on-7. It's that time of year again. It's the time where everybody's joining their club team, but today we're going to talk about what actual 7-on-7 is supposed to do, what you're actually supposed to work on, and how today's game is kind of changed with whole 7-on-7, okay? So we're going to be breaking down this first quarterback here, obviously a high school quarterback. So the whole point of 7-on-7 is to get you used to making reads, especially for quarterbacks, get you used to making reads, tying your feet to your eyes, going through progressions, right, being able to make fast reads. So it helps you in a game time scenario. What we're about to see is an example of something that is not going to help you in a game time scenario at all. So when he takes this drop here, one-step drop, right, when it's a longer developing play in a game time scenario, you're going to have a pass rush here, and you're already not going to be able to see when you take this one-step drop, right?
Again, he said a lot in the beginning. The goal of 7-on-7 is to get you to make reads faster. Somebody just put it up on the screen. The reason that they have cameras on their helmet is the coaches want to see what they see. And in theory, if you can speed up the way they process information, it helps you out a lot. The reason why Coach Monken is very upset that, guess what, they're throwing interceptions in 7-on-7 is because of this. He's explaining to you, there is no pass rush. The receivers are not on draw or man-to-man coverage where they're getting jammed at the line of scrimmage. The defense is not holding. The defense is not showing you a different shell and rotating to a different thing. And by the way, the biggest part is those guys up there, the rushers, watch how he talks about it. When you make this step and you make this one-step drop, you're not marrying your feet. You're not marrying your feet to your eyes and to what the progression is. Huh? They're not doing that. That's the problem that you could have if you read too much into it, if you're not doing it the correct way. Let's bring it back. I'm going to let him talk. I'm not going to stop him. I'm going to let you get your notes ready. Let them get everything they need.
What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to talk about a big problem that I have with 7-on-7. It's that time of year again. It's the time where everybody's joining their club team, but today we're going to talk about what actual 7-on-7 is supposed to do, what you're actually supposed to work on, and how today's game is kind of changed with whole 7-on-7, okay? So we're going to be breaking down this first quarterback here, obviously a high school quarterback. So the whole point of 7-on-7 is to get you used to making reads, especially for quarterbacks, get you used to making reads, tying your feet to your eyes, going through progressions, right, being able to make fast reads. So it helps you in a game time scenario. What we're about to see is an example of something that is not going to help you in a game time scenario at all. So when he takes this drop here, one-step drop, right? When it's a longer developing play in a game time scenario, you're going to have a pass rush here, and you're already not going to be able to see when you take this one-step drop, right? So let's just assume he has the greatest offensive line in the world, and they hold right here. They don't even take a back step. They just hold the defensive line, right? Now we're going to watch what happens after that. One hitch, 2, 3, 4, 5. Even if he has the greatest offensive line in the world, he's going to be getting popped right in the freaking mouth, or he's going to get stepped on, he's going to fall down, or he's not going to be able to see. One of the two, because he's a lot like me when I played. I wasn't the tallest quarterback in the world, right? But because it's 7-on-7, because nobody cares, because nobody coaches it, right? He takes 7 hitches up to the line of scrimmage, which is right here. He almost crosses the line of scrimmage from inside the pocket. That screws up your timing. That's not realistic, and that's why guys come into and they're not prepared for the season. Even with 7 seconds to throw this ball, or however long you guys get, you can still take a 3-step drop. 1, 2, 3, a quick hitch, but you're resetting your feet. You're tying your feet to your eyes. You're not taking 100 different hitches up to the line of scrimmage, right? One-step drop, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then he throws on the 7th one, right? Oh, yeah, great throw. Gave your guy a chance. Hell of a catch, right? But you're sacked, or you're getting hit by your offensive line. It's completely unrealistic. That's not how you're supposed to play this game as 7-on-7, okay? That's not why it was made, and today the whole club scene and all the freaking hype around it is turning that into it. Let's watch it full speed, right? One-step drop, 7 different hitches, right? Almost crosses the line of scrimmage. The greatest offensive line in the world, you're still going to get hit in the mouth.
he's a little pessimistic about it. Again, say 707 has its place. It does. It has its place, but it also has its place in time. And if you're not watchful of it, the problem is, we always say, when you're watching 7-on-7, and as we break this thing down, if you watch 7-on-7 during practice and periods where you watch it and you got to go watch the film, coaches always say to the quarterbacks, if you got to hitch 2 or 3 times in 7-on-7, that play's dead. You hitch once, that play's dead. Somebody's breaking on the football. Somebody's doing something. And take Coach Monken, what Coach Monken is saying for this. Yeah, we threw interceptions 7-on-7 for God's sakes. It means, I mean, who does that? We bring it to the larger point. We bring it to the larger point, right? You say, okay, well, G. Bush, you don't like 7-on-7. Who cares? All right, well, cool. I don't like all kind of drills, right? But what else do we have to go off of? Here's what I'm telling you. Problem with 7-on-7 is not that they're doing it. It's the problem with is the diagnosis and the extrapolation of what it actually means to the layman. So what are you talking about? People don't know that Todd Monken gets nothing out of watching 7-on-7. He tells you he gets nothing out of watching 7-on-7 because you have who does that? There is no pass rush. I mean, it's embarrassing. No coach places any value on anybody completing passes in 7-on-7. None of them. You know why? They know it's placebo and it's not indicative of what an outcome will be. I agree. 7-on-7 absolutely favors the offense. There is no real pass rush. Quarterbacks are clean, and defenders at every level of football can't use their hands. That's not what 11-on-11 football is. And what you're trying to tell us is that what you saw at practice today and what you saw in 7-on-7 told you that so-and-so is leading the quarterback race. Are you crazy? Are you crazy? No, they didn't. It just told us that you don't know what you're talking about. The real football people is like, bro, you a real football person, if I went to Bernie Kosar and I hit Bernie up and I say, yo, Bernie, man, I was at practice today. So-and-so was cooking in 7-on-7. He looked at me like I was a fool. I wouldn't even say nothing. I would be embarrassed to say him. He would be like, gee, I thought you was a football guy. I thought you 7-on-7. Why you think why do you think, and they keep saying, well, Miles is not there. Because it don't count. Everything that they're doing does not move the needle at all. And I'm going to show you how. Through context, I'll continue to tell you. Nothing really changed other than it's a different day and you're firing the same questions, Monken said. Not G. Bush said, not conspiracy theorist said. Todd Monken himself at cameras in Berea in his brown and orange Browns gear said nothing really has changed other than it's a different day and you're firing the same questions. I mean, we're going to rotate those guys and play the best guy we'll see. How do you find out what the best guy is? On air, or which guy can get around Myles Garrett and throw the football in 2 seconds? How do we find out who the best guy is? Who they can throw to somebody wide open that you can't touch him? Or can you throw after Myles Garrett rushes you, you step up in the pocket, Carson Schwarzenegger's looking at you in the face, you know you're going to take a hit. You got to let it fly with no separation to Denzel Ward in the corner of the end zone. That's how you find out if somebody is good. Not the rookies who decided that they couldn't work out nowhere else, got together, came to OTAs, and you're throwing the ball to the rookies versus what? Guys, you have to be a little smarter than that. But I'm telling you, it comes down to this. They said Dylan Gabriel was the supercomputer. That's how you know it'd be for. You said Dylan Gabriel is the supercomputer, and the real ones that watch Dylan Gabriel at every stop. See, what y'all got to understand is they didn't watch these guys in college. That's the part that screams. Understand, half the reason I be so perturbed is when you ask them about their opinions. See, you're a man without a country. Listen, what Avon tells Stringer Bell? You too soft for the streets, but you ain't smart enough for the real world, the real business world. Y'all cats are still in that. Y'all cats are still letting Clay Davis fleece you out of 250 big large ones. And then you so stupid, you think you can go back at Clay Davis and get him up out of here. Lawyer said, Slim Charles said, the Clay Davis, The Clay Davis downtown? I mean, I'm all for getting rid of somebody, but that there's some assassination type stuff. Avon came in there like, hey, big dog. Hey, Slim gonna have to sit this one out. You got Rain made string. Y'all getting Rain made today. How is it that you call somebody the supercomputer when you didn't see him play at UCF? I did. Watched him a lot. You didn't see him play at Oklahoma. I did. Watched him a lot. Went to Oregon. We seen what that was. I watched the tape. We broke down the tape. I seen him in practice with my own 2 eyes. Pulled up on him. I said, absolutely not. If that's the supercomputer, well, what is Peyton Manning them then? The problem is this. You could take your car to a regular mechanic all you want. Take your car down to Midas or Pep Boys. That's cool. You can't you can't bring no Lamborghini in there. You can't bring no foreign in there. You can't bring none of that in there. You know why? It's a difference between a mechanic and somebody that change oil. It's a difference between somebody that can know how to take some brakes off a Toyota. But when you got that suspension that you need over here, they ain't got the tools for it. It's the problem. How can you tell me who the quarterback is if you don't know what you're looking at? How can you tell me who ahead of a quarterback drills when you don't know what the drill is supposed to do? How can you tell me who the quarterback is? You know, I feel this person is winning because they won 7-on-7. You keep telling on yourself and they keep laughing all the way to the bank because you don't know the tools, the tricks, you don't understand it. You don't get the infrastructure. You out here watching practice to a layman talking about who you say look better throwing the ball. He throws a nice ball. Does that matter if it's going to the wrong team? He looked good in 7-on-7. Does that matter if there's no pass, if there's a pass rush? Come on, guys. And in the way I do it, bring this up, G. Bush. Give them the analogy. This is why my stuff is different. You guys continue. Let's talk about the 7-on-7 isn't real football. Say it all together, boys and girls. 7-on-7 isn't real football, G. Bush. Let's talk about it so the haters can catch on and figure this out. It looks like football, but it does not prepare you for football. Let's talk about 7-on-7. What you get. There are fewer players, less reads, less chaos. No full speed tackling avoids real contact. More space, easier throws, easier plays. Simplified coverages, defenses are watered down. Less physicality does not build real toughness. And guess what? Shorter games, less time to solve real world problems. Let's talk about what real 11-on-11 football is for all the people in the back who just don't. This is what it's called to break it down and get into it. I'm just showing y'all. This is. I don't want to sit here and talk to y'all 5, 6, 7,000 times about, well, if Todd Monken feels this, or I just think. Now, we spend all this time talking about with Coach Prime going to visit Todd Monken. Goes me to show me you don't know what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. Let's talk. 11-on-11, what you need. A full team play. Say that again. Say that again, big dog. What do you need on 11-on-11? Full team play. More reads, real teamwork. See, when a quarterback comes to the line of scrimmage, the center, the quarterback of the offense, is going to be looking at the defense. They both have to diagnose what defensive front they're in as far as the defensive line, and they're going to have to make reads based on the checks at the line of scrimmage. Yeah, you balled in 7-on-7, but guess what? You got to deal with a play clock counting down. You got to deal with people coming in motion. You got to deal with, okay, I got to come to the line of scrimmage and diagnose who's coming, who's not going, who's dropping, and anticipating. Now I got to, do I need the audible? Do I need to check hot? Who's my hot guy? What's my hot key? And you still got to do this in 24 seconds and still get your drop while people is chasing you. And if one person doesn't see the same thing you saw, AKA the receiver, you throw it to a spot because you thought it was zone, but it wasn't. They fooled you. And it was a guy standing right there looking at you, ready to intercept the ball. There's levels to this, people. Maybe we want to do narrative football, but I'm just going to tell you and try to teach you. Full contact, built for the hits. It's easy throwing the ball on a 7-step drop. It's easy throwing the ball on a 5-step drop in air. Can you complete that pass with a helmet in your ribs? I don't know. How do you find out if you can complete a pass with helmet in the ribs? How do you figure out whether or not you're skittish in the pocket? How do you figure out if you're seeing ghosts because you've been hit all game and you got a clean pocket for once? You got one chance to throw the football. How do you know that? Unless you get hit, I'll continue to go on. I didn't know they was getting hit in 7-on-7. I'm just talking. I'm bringing it all the way home. There's a difference between what I'm doing and what you're doing. Stop comparing yourself to G. Bush. He's doing this. He's saying this. Listen, you need to come up here and get your pads ready. We talking real football today. We talking real ball today. Not just I trusted somebody who told me that I'm not going to mention your name because the name might not exist in real. No, don't you do that, G. Bush. Tight spaces. Because it's 7-on-7 and it's 11-on-11, there's tighter spaces, harder throws, harder to run. And guess what? As a defensive lineman, we're taught, 3-step, I'm reading you 3-step. You got to 3 steps, guess what we're going to do? I'm getting my hands up. I'm obstructing your vision. You're a shorter quarterback, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to make sure we keep you in the pocket. You know what they did to Dylan Gabriel? Other than people telling him he's a supercomputer, what they should have been doing is telling you, hey, G. Bush, what do you think about Dylan Gabriel from the perspective of defensive lineman? Well, listen, go ahead and play Dylan Gabriel. I don't even want to blitz Dylan Gabriel. You know what we want to do? We want to enclose him in the pocket. His lineman, average offensive lineman, is about 6'5". Dylan Gabriel is way less than 6'5". I'm going to be nice and call it 5'9" or something, whatever the case may be. And average defensive lineman is 6'3", 6'4". And guess what we're going to do? You're going to have to find a window in between your 6'5", 300-pound lineman over top of our 6'4". That's why people talk about reach, arm reach, defensive lineman, hands up here. Huh? Yeah. We're going to make sure Dylan Gabriel got to throw over people. That's why for some organizations, this is a non-starter. You can't, unless you have elite playmaking ability, crazy speed, and a shotgun cannon arm, you can't play this game under 6 foot as a quarterback because it's just too difficult. You got to have elite traits. Complex defenses. Looks like Friday night. Yeah, we give it. You think 7-on-7 is the same thing they giving you in that game? I done seen safeties run from the box all the way back to a deep zone. They're not doing it at 7-7. Are the defensive linemen stunting and twisting? Are the defensive linemen putting 7 guys at the line of scrimmage, and as a quarterback, you have to die? First game of the year, Shedeur Sanders against the Baltimore Ravens put 9 dudes at the line of scrimmage and said, you decide which one is coming. You decide who's dropping into coverage. You decide who's blitzing. That's football. But I might add, they did it against Baltimore. And the very next game, the Raiders tried to do that, and he torched them for a touchdown. Small, in a real game, in a game. Bill's toughness and mentality physically. It's easy for Jerry Jeudy wouldn't come back to the football on an interception, let alone with people hitting him. That's the problem. How you not come back to the football? See, this is the thing. That's a habit. That's a habit. That's a habit. Why you not come back to the football? The reason Jerry Jeudy didn't come back to the football is because he knows his consequences when you come back to the football. Are you built for catching the ball, taking punishment, and being cool with it? Everybody ain't built like that. But I couldn't tell you that unless you've been hit before. See, it's easy to say, Jerry Jeudy is soft. Okay, well, let me put a helmet on, shoulder pads on you, and let me run at you full speed, and you got to come into the blow. Why you got to respect it. Wouldn't it be funny if they made you have to go through 2 days before we became a reporter or journalist? The media Hunger Games. You got to take a hit from your peers. Y'all gonna have to fight this out. Y'all gonna have to make it to 2 days before y'all get to a point, right? And longer game stamina adjustments and grids. It's the adjustment part, man. 7-on-7 as we finish this up, and I got to give you an analogy because that's what we do. That's what we do. 7-on-7 doesn't build what 11-on-11 requires. Here's the barbershop analogy of the day. Matter of fact, you guys can sponsor that. The barbershop analogy today is brought to you by. Look at that. That's nice, man. You can put your name in there. Go ahead and put your name in there. We can set that sponsorship up. Barbershop analogy today. 7-on-7 is like getting a haircut in your bathroom. You have limited tools, no real experience, looks okay in the mirror, not built for a real standard. You get out in the public, somebody say, from the front, the lineup look crisp, but then in that back, it ain't faded properly. It ain't blended. The taper ain't blended on this left side. You had it in the mirror. You're trying to get yourself together. Well, you know what you need to do? Go ahead and spend a couple extra dollars and get it all the way together. Or would you, if you got to go to the biggest interview of your life, would you cut your own hair and skimp on some dollars? Hope you wouldn't. 11-on-11 is like getting a pro cut. Real tools, real experience, held to a higher standard, and ready for any stage. You know what they take at any stage as viable? A real game in high school. They're not going to come to your practice. They're going to take a look at your real film if you want to go to college. Real film in college. They're not going to come to the spring game. They're not coming to your 7-on-7. They're coming and they're going to get that game film. What did you do October 12th against Texas Tech? That's what they're going to do. And in the league, we're going to watch the all 22. Don't nobody care about your highlights. Yeah, you caught a touchdown, but you ran the route 3 times wrong. That's the analogy, right? You can practice all you want, but until you're in the real barbershop, you're not ready. That was good. That was good. Let me finish this out the right way. Just don't look like a player. Be a player. Earn it in the barbershop. And this is why we are who we are. Huh? This is why we are who we are over here. Let y'all know, guys. I'm letting you guys know. People that's sitting here telling you it's a travesty. People that's sitting here telling you they're going to make their mind up by tomorrow. People that's telling you they didn't already made their mind up is doing one or two things. Being extremely naive and telling on themselves that they don't understand the process of how you get guys ready to play football, or intentionally telling you that because it is what it is. We ain't got nothing to talk about, so we got to make some conversation. I think it's a little bit of both. No, everybody that plays football understands that you don't find nothing about no players in shorts and T-shirts and helmets. It's the exact same way why nobody really... Where's all the big names at? Always remember this. When everybody talking about, oh, they done named the player, named the coach, name this, name that, go back and look at the other professional players that really did it at a high level. You don't even hear them talking about nothing right now. You know why? Because it's a non-starter. People say, G. Bush, you going to OTAs? Why? My name is Garrett. If Miles Garrett ain't there, Garrett ain't there. If Miles Garrett ain't there, Garrett's not there. You know why? It's placebo. By the way, buy my mixtape. It's fire. Mixtape is crazy. In stores. It's on SoundCloud as well. Download that. Why would I do that? Why? No. Where are you? Think about what they're trying to do to you. Think about what they're doing. Think about this. Remember when scrimmages used to actually matter because they was actually playing against other people? Now they say, oh, scrimmages really ain't it. It's the inter squad games. By the way, the Buffalo Bills will be here. And the reality of the situation is this. Let me just tell y'all this from Jump Street. You got a brand new playbook, a brand new offense, brand new skill receivers. Why would a new coach come in and has not seen any of y'all run his stuff that he wants? Don't even understand if you understand the concepts of what he wants to do. Why would he come in and give away the most important job and they don't even have the whole team there? They don't have none of the offense already implemented, and he ain't even seen you go against nobody in the opposite color jersey. Matter of fact, he ain't seen you going against your best you got in your own jerseys. He hasn't seen you go against you got a top 5 defense. You got a top 5 defense in this league. You don't even want to see him go against your top 5 defense when it counts? Absolutely not. This is what makes me so upset about this noise and talk, because nowadays we let people who don't understand what it is to go through this process to dictate the process. How is it that you ain't a doctor? How is it the doctor gonna give you a rehab and ain't never been no doctor? Yeah, well, I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna rehab you. We're gonna get you on the bike. We're gonna stretch you out. No, bro, you got to go to school for that. You don't get to just prescribe no medication. How is it that you're prescribing medication and you ain't never been no doctor? You just said, I like medicine. So because you like medicine, you could just start giving out medicine? Absolutely not. You'll end yourself right in jail. You can't even be giving advice. But you telling me you done already known what is going to happen. You done diagnosed, you done seen it. What? Let me tell you this. And I told this with Darren the other day. The issue with Deshaun Watson wasn't that he didn't look good in practice when he was here before. The problem wasn't could he throw the wide open receivers in practice? The problem wasn't did the ball look good coming out of his hand, or could he call a play in the huddle? Those are prerequisites. Of course it will be. He's a professional football player. You don't think he could throw the ball? Listen, it's guys right now that Tom Brady can get up out of there in his bed and throw a nice football today. And to the layman, it looked like he should be playing in the league. The problem wasn't that. The problem with Deshaun Watson when he was actually playing was the simple fact that Deshaun Watson, when the bullets started flying, when the pass rush started getting to him, when his timing, when his rhythm, when it's confidence, when it's cadence, when the ball placement, when the accuracy, when the mobility floundered under pressure. You tell me nothing about what's happening if I don't put pressure on you. Everybody is good sitting here at room temperature 72 degrees in your own house. I don't care if you do something well. Put some pressure on it. Put some pressure on it. All right, man. If you make this free throw, you get $1 million. All of a sudden, 90% free throw to shooters in their mind go to 12. Negative or positive consequences. You miss this free throw, you're going to jail for 5 years. All of a sudden, that little free throw that you're sitting up there that you didn't hit 1,000 times in your mind, a little bit deeper than rap, ain't it? How you find about people's intestinal fortitude in football is this. And this is why I love football, because I can talk my talk and tell you this. Half of it is, can you do something that most people can't do under pressure, under duress, and in pain? Can you throw a slant route when the game depends on it, when you done already got a dislocated ring finger on your throwing hand? You need to get out of pressure. You need to slide in the pocket, but can you do it? Because you just had your knee drained before the game. They think you got a partially torn MCL. You had to brace it up to get there. You got turf toe on your left toe. You know good and well you can't get out, but can you buy enough time? And at the same time, can you block out the cloudiness and the pain and what your parents saying, and your marriage is going wrong, and you owe a little bit of money somewhere else, and everybody wants you to expecting something from you, but can you get that done? And by the way, you threw 2 interceptions already, but today, for that moment, it didn't matter. I got it done. If you can't do that, you ain't it. And the only way to find out is if you it is to go through it. So for all the people be running around here talking about whose job you done got, I hate to break it to you. It's not the way it worked. It's never worked that way. It will always be this way. Always, always. And guess what? At the end of the day, I keep trying to tell everybody like this. Why does it seem like I'm the only one that's happy about competition? Why am I the only one that don't seem want to fast forward the competition? Why am I the only one that's sitting here like, I'm relaxed. You ain't see me crashing out nowhere about no competition. The problem with a lot of people is y'all say competition because it's what you were supposed to say. You say you like competition because you know that if you said you didn't like competition, people might frown upon that a little bit because you've been always preaching that it's about competition. But in reality, 90% of these people want no competition. 90% of the people in the world want the path of least resistance. Nobody wants to sweat. Nobody want to do no extra work. Nobody want to fight through no pain. Nobody want no conflict. Nobody want to argue. People want the easiest path to resist it. They want to just get through it. So that's why when you say it's nasty and out of work, just give the position to them today. Really? Why? Because you got an artificial timetable in your mind? Arbitrarily, I think it would be better. Stop. It's not the way the game works. Let's get to it. I mean, 2,171. Let's be real. Let's keep it a buck. Mick Purnell, 8936. What happened to the days of the Cleveland media being for the team and not against the team? Hashtag New Cleveland. It became more lucrative to be against the team. It's more lucrative to be against the team because I've tried to explain this. Back in the day, there was no disincentive to be positive. Now there's a disincentive, right? You're going to get more clicks because it's negative. You're going to get more clicks because it's more reactional. You're going to get more everything because that's just what the nature of the game is today. People telling the truth and breaking it down. Let me just give you an example. Whatever I told you today in this blog, right? Whatever we talked about and whatever we said right here today in this blog, it's not as going to be hot if I just came on here and just gave you all kind of receipts and called out 5 people by name. To be honest with you, I very rarely put anybody on thumbnails. I don't even really mention people's name by name because I realize for what? If I tell you guys not to care about it or disregard it, I'm not going to just put them people's names on thumbnails just so it could be, oh, let me see what G. Bush said about this person. See what I'm saying? But it's never going to hit the same. It's just not. Make it ain't. If I came on here and put everybody on the thumbnail and made it look real cool, no, I don't really care like that. Because at the end of the day, my job is to educate. You came here to get something. I'm just trying to come and show you that when you watching this stuff, Think about it like this. Understand what you're watching. Understand what you're seeing. So that when Todd Monken tells you something, people just keep glossing over what the man is saying and keep asking the same questions. Like he didn't just already tell you. He didn't already told you what he thought. You keep asking the same stuff, bro. Asking the same stuff. J-Mac Too Fresh. Gifted 5 Garrett Bush membership. We appreciate you, J-Mac. We appreciate you, my dog. Shout out and thank you for everybody who received the memberships. We just had members only with Darren on the other week. We'll have Sean King coming up next week. We just going to continue to work. Speaking of, I got to keep telling y'all. Let me put this up here. Great opportunity to talk about it. Give me a second. I got to keep pubbing. We keep working, man. We just working. You know, people say, well, G-Bush, when you going to quit? Man, I ain't quitting. I ain't never quitting. We going to keep cooking. We got a whole network over here. Keep talking your stuff. Let me see. There we go. Make sure you check us out every Wednesday, 6 p.m. on the Barbershop YouTube channel. Me, myself, Tyvis. We got some special guests coming up for y'all. We just got reached out to somebody. Shout out, man. We got a big shout out. Shout out to Raphael Sadiq. You mean, that Raphael Sadiq. The Tony Raphael Sadiq. The legend himself. Like, man, this dude, man, shout out to him, man. He's a big supporter of the show. That's why I love it. But I ain't even know. Listen, we was talking to each other in our group chat, man. And so Earl happened to know a guy who knew Raphael Sadiq, but man, I'm a big fan back to Lucy Pearl. I'm a big fan back to Tony. I'm a big fan of his solo career. I mean, come on, man. That's, to me, one of the baddest musicians of all time. Tony. Shout out to Raphael Sadiq. He's a big supporter of the Barbershop, big fan of the Final Cut. So hopefully, blessings, we get an opportunity to get him on the show and get him on and talk a little bit about his music career. But we all never come on. We appreciate him loving and supporting and showing love because, man, I'm one of his biggest fans of all time. If you know, It Never Rained in Southern California. Stop playing. They didn't remix. I'm waiting to see the royalties from that. You know how many times they didn't remix that? Shoot. Shout out to Raphael Sadiq, though, by the way. We cooking over here, man. We cooking. We just trying. It's a blessing. Let me show you what else we got coming up tomorrow. Don't play. We still got other stuff that we putting on, too. We got to show you. That's on Wednesdays, 6 p.m. But tomorrow is coming up. I got my sister. Now I know that, I'm married to a Filipina. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Rosie, right? But let me just tell you this. I got my other sister-in-law, Mylene. She pulling up tomorrow, top 5. So you done seen my brother, right? Me, Bryson, and Trent, 2 p.m. Eastern every single Sunday. Mylene is coming on. Bryson's wife, boy, she is a riot. We got a special list planned for y'all. So y'all like family time, pull up, man. The last 2 episodes, mom, the See You aunties have pushed my mom across the finish line. That episode has now outdone my father's episode, and I thought he was cooking. My Bush came on there with that See You auntie energy, and she was cooking. So shout out to her as well. Make sure you check us out tomorrow, 2 p.m. With that being said, we had a great time, boys and girls. We loved you coming on in, and thank you so much for having a very intellectual football conversation. If you love the show, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and tune in. Coming up tomorrow, my sister-in-law, Marlene, she's spicy. She's going to be in the building. We'll be on every 2 p.m. Me, my brother Bryson, top 5 list. We got a great top 5 coming on. And we're going to see if they can win some of G. Bush's money. Money's on the line. Let's see if they can win it. Real money, too. With that being said, you never know when G. Bush might show up, radio, television, internet, but if you want a fresh cut on sports, I keep the clips up with me. Have a great rest of your Memorial Day weekend. Make sure you pull up tomorrow. And as always, I already told you what it is. It's always, no matter what they saying, you know what it is. It's Go Browns.